We officially have a winner in the first NFL quarterback battle this preseason. Kyler Murray is taking the Vikings quarterback job, and no one's shocked. No one's surprised. We all saw J.J. McCarthy. We knew that this was over the second that they signed Kyler. I'm going to be discussing how this affects the Vikings and if there's maybe some buy-in to be had for their win total, for them somehow winning the NFC North. Before we get into it, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content. Hit the like button on this video. Comment below how you think the Vikings are going to do this year. And go on over to thesportsgeek.com and sign up for the Beat the Geek contest. We are still taking pre-registrations. If you want to prove your ability to pick games, you can win an NFL trip for 2 as the potential grand prize. So go on over to thesportsgeek.com to go and check that out. So news comes out after, again, everybody was expecting that Kyler was going to win this job. It's not shocking for multiple reasons. We can talk about McCarthy's performance and why he did not show enough. And it's actually the opposite of that. He showed a concerning level of underperformance that it made it really, really hard for this franchise to buy into him after the fact. Kevin O'Connell is in crunch time. Albeit he was successful in 2024. He is in crunch time. It's not necessarily on the hot seat, but they can't endure having a bad year. Right now, they have the worst odds to win the NFC North, plus 510. They cannot endure a circumstance where they finish last in the division, they go under 500, they don't at least show that they're in close competition to make the playoffs. If that happens, why wouldn't ownership turn the page? Wasting time on trying to develop J.J. McCarthy when he showed that he's not it would have doomed him. Having a veteran that is more prepared to contribute and play now was the far better strategy. Even if theoretically there's a higher ceiling with J.J. McCarthy and they felt like that was on the table, they can't risk having a slow start, having a guy who completed 57% of his passes a year ago try to build momentum. It was something that O'Connell was not going to be able to survive. It just was not going to happen. With a lot of changes and turnover with this team for this upcoming year, they needed somebody who understood what it took to succeed as a starting NFL quarterback. He already did this once. He already got the most out of Sam Darnold. Why are we shocked that he wants to have another veteran that he can lean on that at one point has been one of the more gifted quarterbacks in the NFL? Kyler Murray is not a bum. He's not a guy that is lacking tools. He has a live arm. He is arguably the most elusive quarterback in the NFL when he's healthy and he's playing. Why wouldn't Kevin O'Connell try to tap into that instead of going through the headache of trying to grow and develop a young quarterback who's quite frankly just not ready? I think for that reason, by the way, for all the J.J. McCarthy truthers and supporters, I don't think that this necessarily means it's guaranteed that they're done with McCarthy. They're never going to give him another shot. It's just a matter of, at this current moment, they have to have a legit plan that can win them football games and win them early. McCarthy last year, actually in his 2 years, it's a bad resume. Missed the entire 2024 year with a torn meniscus, which stunted his ability to grow and to develop. He was 6-4 in 2025, which is actually not a bad record, but anyone who watched Vikings games last year know a lot of that went down to the fact that the defense was so freaking good, that Flores had such a great defense. He completed 57.6% of his passes for 1,600 yards, which is abysmal. What's even worse is that he had 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He also missed time with injuries last year again. He had a 72.6 passer rating, which was last among 33 qualifying quarterbacks. He did nothing. At least sometimes, like random example, I got the Giants stuff behind me. Jackson Dart, at least in his full first year as a starter, he had highs. There were moments in games where he made big plays. The Eagles game was a really good example of that, the way that he played in the beginning of the year against the Chargers. He had a couple of spurts where when he was on the field, you could at least understand, all right, if we build more around him, improve the O-line, get him some more weapons, change the identity, we can at least try to win some games. Hence why they're going into this year with that mentality. They also have a new head coach. It's a little bit different of a circumstance, but you had a team that had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, not like a premier offensive line, but a solid enough of an offensive line that his performance should not have been that bad, especially considering that O'Connell has gotten the most out of any quarterback that has stepped into this offense. I do think, and maybe this is a hot take, I would not be stunned if Kyler does not perform better than people realize. I think that he is still really physically gifted and a very natural player. There are concerns with him on his preparation and his focus, something that we don't have enough like true context on because we're not in the building. We don't know. But his tools are unique enough that I feel like Kevin O'Connell, who's a brilliant offensive mind, can tap into that and can get a lot out of that. Not to mention the fact that he has Justin Jefferson. He has a top 2 receiver in the NFL. You have the ability to create a 1-2 punch that is really productive this year. Now, the one bit that I want to kind of see how things look is if this team can be better defensively. They had, or not better defensively, maintain their momentum defensively. They were a really good defensive team last year and the entire time that they have been coached by Brian Flores. He has done the most with the least. There's no like superstars in this defense. I'm intrigued by the Caleb Banks pick. He was one of my favorite prospects. I think he has the highest upside of any of the defensive tackles from a year ago. He was just banged up. Dominic Orange is a really physical interior presence that I think that can work into the rotation. And Dallas Turner has a lot of upside. Not to mention the fact that their secondary is underrated, led by Byron Murphy. If their defense can maintain what they did a season ago, and if Kyler can get back to the version of Kyler that we once saw that was really freaking hard to keep up with, and if he stays healthy, there is a possibility that they hit the over on their win total, which is currently set at 8.5. I don't think that they're going to win the NFC North. I think that there's too much competition between the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears. I think collectively the Vikings probably have the weakest roster of those 3 teams, but there's still a chance that they win 9 games and maybe they're in the conversation. It would be absurd for there to be 4 NFC North teams that make it into the playoffs. It's probably not going to come to fruition. But I do think that Kyler is often overlooked because he's been turned into such a meme. Everybody refers to him as a toddler, and they make fun of the fact that he plays too many video games. This squad has a chance, this Vikings team has a chance by making an adult decision like this to not go down the path of sunk cost fallacy and just feeling, hey, we have invested into JJ McCarthy. We have to keep trying. It is a mistake that constantly kills teams. Being willing to pivot on the fly is always going to produce success rather than continuously banging your head against the wall. We'll see what happens for the Minnesota Vikings. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe. I'll talk to you later.